guys, so today I'm going to be doing my May wrap-up, and I know it is a week into June, but I'm just now getting around to it, and so I'm going to be filming this video and my June TBR at the same time. So when I'm wearing the same outfit, that's why. Now, let us jump right in. So, the first book that I read in the month of May was Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. And this is one of those books that I always heard people talking about, and people always reference it, and it's everywhere, and I had somewhat of an idea what it's about, but I just never read it. And my parents are English teachers, so we have a lot of books like this, that are just popular reads in high schools and stuff, and so, or I guess middle schools maybe, so anyway, I finally read it, and I'm very glad I did. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and I would have given it 5 out of 5. It didn't seem flushed out enough for me, and what I mean by that is, I've read a lot of Ray Bradbury's short stories, which is what he mostly writes, I believe, and this felt like it would either be a great short story, or he should have embellished it more. There were so many extra characters, and so many, you just kind of get thrown into the world. And the book's so short that you don't really have time to fully understand the world before the book's over. So, it's kind of nice in some kind of sci-fi futuristic books where you're just kind of thrown in the world and you have to figure it out for yourself. And the one that pops in my head right now is The Giver by Lois Lowry. You're just thrown in there and you kind of figure out what their words are for things and how their society's set up through the context of the story. There isn't this big prologue that tells you, everything you need to know. Anyway, this didn't have that, but it was so short, and so I wish either he had elaborated, just made the book longer, elaborated on the world, on the main characters, on the supporting characters, just kind of flushed it out more, or pared it down and cut out a lot of the supporting characters and just had the main story in a short story form. Because there were just a lot of extraneous characters that were very interesting, but were barely ever talked about, but they were there, and I'm like, why don't you just simplify the story and pare it down into a short story, or just make it a longer, more involved thing, 1984. So anyway, those are my thoughts on this, but I did really, really like it. The next book I read is actually a play, and it's Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe. And if you don't know, this play is about a scholar who sells his soul to the devil in order to be immortal, in order to just be able to possess all these, dark magic qualities. And it kind of backfires, and things go horribly for Dr. Faustus. So this play I originally read in 10th grade, and I absolutely loved it. If you guys don't know, I'm a theater major, so I love reading plays. Anyway, long story short, I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, just like I did back in 10th grade when I read it. However, I had a theater history final, and we had to do a PowerPoint presentation / a in-class scene reading kind of thing, and I convinced my group that we should do Dr. Faustus and Christopher Marlowe, and so I reread it because I put in some stage notes. I kind of blocked a scene for us, and yeah, so I don't know, it has a special place in my heart for no really good reason. Next books are just a compilation of the readathon that I participated in. I had a TBR video for that readathon. It's up on this channel. The readathon's come and gone, obviously, but anyway, so these books you have seen before on this channel, but I have since read them, and the first one actually wasn't in my TBR because, even though I mentioned it, because I thought I was going to finish this book before the readathon even started, and then I obviously did not. So that is City of Fallen Angels, Book 4, The Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare, and it was okay. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I don't really want to talk about it, obviously, because it's the 4th book, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it just, it felt kind of unnecessary. the last couple books have been, I still haven't given any of them 5 out of 5 stars, but this one just felt, it was really short compared to the other ones, and I felt like it could have just been combined with another book. So anyway, that's how I felt about that. So I finished that, and then I read Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews, and this was hilarious. I picked this up on a whim at Barnes & Noble because I saw Padfoot and Prong's 06 talking about it, Raeleen. I'll link her channel below. But anyway, and I was like, I need to read this, and it was very good. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Kind of has a deep message, despite it's kind of joking about not wanting to have a deep message. And it's really funny. The plot sounds kind of sad a little bit, but I literally laughed out loud at this book, and I have not laughed out loud at a book in at least a couple years. I cannot think of a book that I've laughed out loud at, so I highly, highly recommend this. The next book I read was Dead to You by Lisa McMann, and I love Lisa McMann's trilogy with Fade, Wake, and Gone, or some order of that. Those are the 3 books in the trilogy, but anyway, I'm a big fan of that series. I've reread it several times, and so I was excited to pick up a different book by her. And I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Looking back, I think I might go and drop it down to a 3 out of 5, just in retrospect. It was okay. It's about this kid, Ethan, and he refines his family. He was abducted, and he finds his family at the beginning of the book. He finds his way back to his family. And then he has issues remembering things that happened to him when he was abducted, which is fairly normal. And everyone in the book's telling him it's normal. And then he finally remembers the memories, and shit goes down. It was a good kind of psychological thriller. I read it in one day. It's only 220 pages. It goes by really fast, so it's a good read. It's not like the most amazing thing I've ever read, though, but it was definitely a good little thriller, so I did like it for that reason. The next book I read, and most of these books actually haven't been in the order that I read them, I apologize, but the next one I did read was Clean by Amy Reed, and this was still part of the readathon. And this book, it kind of fulfilled what I thought was going to happen, where just based on the plot, it's a bunch of kids in a rehab facility, and I was like, that sounds a lot like Girl Interrupted, and it basically is. It's kind of a toned down version, more of like for younger readers. It's kind of like a PG Girl Interrupted. And so to me, I rather just read Girl Interrupted. This just, I don't know, there's a bunch of characters in this, and you get stories from a good handful of people from this rehab center, and so you don't really have time to like remember who's who, because there's so many, and she doesn't really go into detail about any of them. So I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. It was okay. I sound very negative about it. It was good, but Girl Interrupted is much better. The last book that I read, ow, my foot's asleep, in the month of May was Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. Woo! And this is the second book in the Infernal Devices trilogy. And let me just say, this met my expectations, which is saying something, because I had extremely high expectations for this. I loved Clockwork Angel, and I love this just as much, not as much, but pretty close. And I believe I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, because I gave Clockwork Angel 5 out of 5. Anyway, I don't want to talk about what this is about, because it's gonna give things away, but it was very good. Alright guys, those are the books/one play that I read in the month of May. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you've read any of the things that I have read, or if you read anything weird in May, if you read a play in May, if you read a kind of crappy book in May. Let me know. I want to hear it. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye! One other thing, I'm still trying to figure out where to have like my setup, because I'm tired of my background being different all the time, but it's just, the only time I can film by my bookcase is if it's at night, because then I can put a bunch of lights in front of the camera or behind the camera facing me, and the lighting is okay. But during the day, this corner of my room gets like no sun, and so right now this is just the wall opposite my window, so I can get all this natural light in and I don't look blue. I don't know. Let me know what you think, because I don't know, I really like certain people's backgrounds. Like, some go for the really, like, simplified background, or some go for their bookshelves, or, because this is, like, you know, just weird stuff behind me, so. Anyway, I'm still trying to figure that out, so if you have any tips, feel free to leave it below, or just any random fact.